YouTube, Space Marine 2, man. Let's go. Every class, perk, and weapon gameplay review. Let's get into it.
Tactical is the first class. Essentially your classic tactical Space Marine. A double hard bastard with a wide array of weapon options.
Yes, sir.
Before we touch in on that very vast array of weapons, the tactical class has the Auspex Scan ability. An ability that scans and reveals enemies in an area, and when they are detected and outlined, they become more vulnerable and take more damage. Starting with the primary weapon, TAC Marines can have an auto bolt rifle, a standard bolt rifle, a heavy bolt rifle, a stalker bolt rifle, a bolt carbine, a plasma incinerator, and a melter rifle.
Every gun
Sadly, not all at once. Every gun available seems to have its own progression tree, allowing for the unlocking of not only alternate versions of the gun with unique stats such as varying rates of fire, reload speeds, range, and different mag sizes, but also perks allowing you to further customize a build. There seem to be some fairly nice looking perks with things like HP regen after.
Okay, so there's perks not only for your Space Marine, but there's also perks for the gun as well. That's crazy. By the way, guys, while he's hovering over all the different guns, please feel free to pause at any point in time. Check out whatever it is that he's hovering over.
Killing X amount of enemies if your HP is below 30%, for example.
Yeah.
There are also standard things you'd expect to see on a gun perk, such as increased reload speed or extra enemy penetration. So your bolt around would travel through 2 pieces of Tyranid scum before exploding instead of 1. As if all the aforementioned bolt.
So there's the 4 different levels, eh? Standard, Mastercrafted, Artificer, and Relic. So he's obviously all this is still locked, so you can't actually see any of it. The virgins, I don't believe, matter all that much. It comes down to the perk tree.
Bolter variants wasn't enough. The TAC Marine class also gets a bolt pistol as a secondary and a chainsword. Goodness me, isn't the Emperor generous in his benevolence?
I hope the bolt pistol's good.
Perks seem to be split into a few categories. Core perks with 9 choices, a wide array of things that could play into lots of different playstyles. Team perks that give your entire squad a buff. Gear perks, which on the TAC Marine all enhance his Auspex Scan ability. And finally a signature perk. The TAC Marine has, for example, Signal Jammer, an augment for the Auspex Scan ability that prevents enemies from calling reinforcements. Radiating Impact, a perk that adds a significant AoE damage when doing a melee finisher. And finally, Marked for Death, giving you instant kills on headshots on Majoris or Extremis, these are presumably tiers of enemies, when they are marked by Auspex Scan.
Yeah, this is crazy. So there's your core perks that you choose for your hero, and then there's the team perk where you buff your allies. That's nuts, man. It's going to be a really fun version of the Tyranids, but it's all like I hope this actually all goes over to PvP. By the looks of it, it does. If that is true, man, we're going to have a lot of fun trying to mix and mash up all the different sort of combinations and on launch. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun, man.
It seems that in each row of perks, you'll only be able to select 1 perk.
Yeah.
So 3 core perks, 1 team perk, 3 gear perks, and 1 final signature perk. I think there's going to be a lot of theory crafting when it comes to the perks, different builds that you can do, different setups, and trying to create some insane combos so that your abilities and perks overlap and make your squad feel invincible in the face of a sea of Tyranids.
I really hope that with what he's saying there, with all the different perks, the combinations, and how all the workshopping of it, I really hope that actually holds true. And I hope also that as the game progresses, PvP becomes like a focus point. It's it's good for PvP, but it'd also be good for the main game as well. Keeping it all fresh, you know what I mean? Keep changing everything all the time, keeping the meta shifting constantly. It'd be very, very fun for all the different team compositions. Yeah, this is looking great.
Assault is the second class we're going to look at. This time with no primary weapon available, but instead glorious melee weapons taking centre stage. The classic chainsword is of course on offer, as well as a thunder hammer and a power fist. All as before, with variants and perks available to tweak and refine your marine. To complement your Xeno thwacking, you can opt for a bolt pistol or a heavy bolt pistol. The ability of the assault class is a lovely jump pack, allowing you to use enhanced dashes to leap into melee, as well as powerful jumps and leaps into the sky, allowing you to crash down with righteous fury onto the Xeno scum below. As you would expect, the perks for assault revolve around movement and melee really.
I really hope that the Assault Marine Thunderhammer is actually quite strong in PvP, like against other Marines, because you can obviously see they're at a pretty huge disadvantage. They've only got a bolt pistol.
Faster cooldowns on your jetpack, bonus damage on dodges, that kind of thing. The signature perks start with ample ammunition. Any use of your jump pack reloads your ranged weapon. Pretty straightforward. Ascension is next, a perk that deals AoE damage to enemies around you as you take flight with your jetpack. And finally, commitment. Perfectly timed dodges using the jetpack dash restores the jump pack ability charge.
Yeah, wow.
Now I
That's
can see that
ridiculous.
final perk being very cool in the right
That's
hands.
really, really strong.
Having an assault player constantly leaping about, smashing down, and dishing out glorious justice.
Yeah.
Vanguard, the next class, seems more like a specialized.
It seems pretty crazy in a melee versus melee situation in the Assault Marine, actually, when you think about it in PvP. Granting dodges refresh the jump pack. So if someone, commits with their jump pack on you first, you've dodged their attack, and then all of a sudden your jump pack's up for offer again. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of like chain plays, I think. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Attack Marine. Equipped with a grapnel launcher ability that hooks into an enemy and causes you to leap forward with a diving kick. You can kill a termagant in a second, kick its face off. Primary weapons are a bit more limited than Tac Marines. The Instigator and Oculus Bolt carbines seem to both come with scopes, meaning perhaps slightly more distant ranged engagements and shots. But then there is also the Melter Rifle, which is basically an energy shotgun that fires liquid hot magma into the face of whatever is at the other end of the barrel. Secondary wise, it's the humble bolt pistol for you, boy, and of course a chainsword, or perhaps maybe the more unique combat knife. A high speed.
The combat knife is not bad. I actually look at this guy and I think Vanguard is going to be a real issue, man, because they've got a scoped ranged gun, be an annoyance from afar. They're not the best from afar, sure. They're still an annoyance. The moment they grapple in and they've got that the high speed of the combat knife all over the enemy in PvP, it just seems like a lasso, like a tie down unit. You know what I mean? A tie down unit while maybe the Assault Marine's coming out from the shadows and is striking from the sky. Like the grapnel launcher seems like a real strength to like a 3v3 comp.
Speed dueling weapon with faster attack speed and damage than the chainsword, but less cleaving potential. The core perks seem to be a mix of parry or dodge buffs and some lovely team perks that enable, for example, all squad members to restore 15% charge on abilities by performing finishes. Gear perks, as with the other two classes, have a clear focus on change.
Buffing this guy's regeneration when he commits a dodge, that's insane, man. Like, because he's already this tie-down unit that I was just sort of talking about just then. This could be nuts, man. When your health is less than 50%, your perfect dodge window is doubled. Wow. Wow, okay, so this guy actually goes in, wants to take a little bit of damage, and then is constantly you're just like a nuisance. You're just tying down the enemy. That's fantastic.
Changing or augmenting the class ability. In this case, the grapnel launcher. Finally, the signature perks, starting with tactical prowess, making your grapnel launcher cooldown reset if you finish an enemy with the diving kick. Next, Emperor's Blessing gives you survivability, restoring all armor charges instead of being incapacitated when taking lethal damage.
That's ridiculous.
And finally, Adrenaline Rush, giving you 1% HP regen when melee killing Majoris or higher tiered enemies. It seems as though Vanguard are meant to be right in the thick of it.
Yeah, with what he's just said there, you heard that last perk where you get the plus 1% to health regeneration for every enemy you've killed. That's obviously not going to be very good in PvP, but that's going to be super strong. And I'd say probably required, or near enough required, when we're versing those Tyranids, because there's so many of them. Any sort of regeneration you can get your hands on, you're taking every day of the week, aren't you?
Zipping forward with the grapnel launcher and slicing through enemies like a spice weasel through a biryani. Bulwark is the final melee-focused class. Permanently equipped with a storm shield, they can hold parry and keep the shield raised and auto-deflect light attacks. The war gear for this class isn't too broad. A bolt pistol or plasma pistol for the secondary, and a chainsword, power fist or power sword for your main melee banger. Bulwark is the only class that gets the power sword, so I'm sure we'll see lots of players utilising that. The Bulwark ability lets you put down a flag, which pulses in an AoE and restores shield charge for any allies stood close enough.
So the reason why that is so crazy, restoring shield charge, is because you don't regenerate health. Like, regenerating the shields, the moment your shields are gone and you start taking health, like, it can be pretty nuts. You really want to keep your shields up at all times. The moment you got no shield, it obviously gets pretty scary. So this guy looks like he's going to be very popular. And he could actually, the combination of this flag with the Vanguard would be really interesting, being able to sort of roll on in with your power sword. You've got your Storm Shield as protection, and, you'd have your Vanguard behind you with this scoped gun, sort of taking pot shots, and the moment you're close enough, the Vanguard grapples in and you drop your flag, and all of a sudden you've got one of the enemies completely tied down because you're replenishing shields whilst jumping all over him with a combat knife. Very interesting with that perfect dodge.
Very useful for big swarm moments and generally keeping your squad alive. The core perks seem to revolve around durability and being a triple hard bastard. The team perks follow suit, with 3 perks that all in some way make your squad harder to kill or last longer in the downed state. Gear perks wise, it's all about the shield, bashing with the shield and also giving the banner ability some AoE damage or further buffs to teammates. Finally, the signature perks, well, they've got a bit of variation. The first, emergency countermeasure, essentially grants you a grenade drop COD perk when your armor breaks.
That's cool.
Defensive mastery, the next perk, allows for instant incapacitation of Majoris or extremist level enemies when landing a perfectly timed parry, enabling them then, I guess, to be instantly executed. Armored advance.
All squads within the banner's area of effect deal 10% more damage. Wow. Yeah, and then I'm pretty sure the last one was 10% less damage, if I'm correct. Yeah, this is very cool. The bulwark guy, I think on 3v3 is going to be amazing.
The final perk.
If you have armor remaining, you don't lose control upon taking heavy hits and you cannot be knocked back. Wow. Because the banner restores armor. So he's like an immovable force, dude. Yep. He's very good.
Makes it so that you won't be staggered or knocked back when taking heavy hits if you have armor remaining.
Yeah.
3 perks there that could really complement a build in quite different ways. Despite its lack of weapon variety, I think Bulwark seems like a class with lots of different ways to play and focus your gameplay utilising the perks.
You know, hats off to Space Marine 2. Obviously, I haven't got my hands on the game yet and played it, but just going through the bulwark there, very interesting. Like, this dude's got a power sword and a shield and a banner. That's all he's got. But the way they've done it, you can build him to be so different. There's so many different variations of the player. Hats off to him. It wouldn't be easy to do, that's for sure.
Sniper comes with, believe it or not, an array of sniper rifles. A Stalker bolt rifle, a bolt sniper rifle, a bolt carbine, and finally a las fusil. Basically an energy-based sniper that does high damage, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the only weapon I've seen so far with a 10 damage value. Secondary and melee is limited to a humble bolt pistol and combat knife combo. Despite my very public and well-known adverse feelings towards snipers in video games, the ability of the sniper class could provide them with a useful team play mechanic. Camo cloak renders your marine invisible and concealed from enemy until your next attack.
That's ridiculous.
Presumably meaning you can utilise this to get guaranteed revives on downed teammates.
Yeah.
The perks seem to confirm my suspicions, with one of the core perks giving you 30% faster revive speeds, as well as the standard collection of damage increase buffs. Perks mainly offer increased damage and bonuses for your teammates getting headshots, and the gear perks for sniper all revolve around the camo cloak, buffing it in various ways. One notable perk essentially gives you a rogue style backstab with a melee attack that breaks the camo cloak, dealing 100% more damage.
That's awesome.
The first signature perk for sniper gives you free camo cloak activations on perfectly timed dodges, with only a 15-second cooldown on that. So I could see this
pattern of excellence. Performing 4 consecutive headshots restores equipment charge by 1. Cooldown is 180 seconds. Performing 4 consecutive headshots restores equipment charge by 1. This will be good versus the Tyranids, not in PvP. Not unless you're like an absolute god sniper like me.
Being a very cool perk rolled into some corresponding gear perks.
After a perfectly timed dodge, Camo Cloak automatically activates without spending charge for 5 seconds. Cooldown is 15 seconds. Far out, man. That's crazy. So the moment someone goes on you and you've dodged them, you're out of there. That's nuts. This guy's like, this sniper, they've really lent into, not just the fact he's got a big gun, they've lent into the whole hiding in the shadows, lurking, tactical, rogue-like sort of attributes. Really cool.
Next, the Emergency Override perk gives you protection from lethal damage, instead activating your camo cloak and giving you 5 seconds of invulnerability.
It's ridiculous.
Pattern of Excellence, the final perk, makes performing 4 consecutive headshots restore 1 equipment charge. Now, does that mean grenades or Medicae kits or both? Either way, if you want to build a very high damage character that is also quite a team player, Sniper could fit the build. Heavy is the last class. Clad in thick Gravis armor, the heavy class is the classic big guns. You have the choice.
You know, just with what he was talking about, the sniper there, that's very interesting. They've completely redeveloped the sniper, not just to be, you know, a gun-carrying badass who just sits in the corner and, you know, takes head. It's more of, he's a medic, he's a rogue. So, you know, number one thing for sniping was always positioning, right? In most FPS games. Now, you have to be really good with your positioning, but there's a huge payoff for being really good with your positioning, because you're going to be able to, you know, dart around with your cloak and also be the medic as well. They've really combined everything that it is to be a sniper and rogue and sort of met halfway. I like it a lot.
Of a heavy bolter, a heavy plasma incinerator, or a multi-melter. Big guns for a big bloke. If those guns run out of ammo due to extreme Xeno extermination, a plasma pistol or bolt pistol secondary is also available, with no option of a melee weapon.
So I'm very curious to see what they have to say about this guy, because he's probably the one out of the 6 different classes where I'm like, he's got an Iron Halo, he's got big guns. How are they going to make him interesting? You know what I mean?
End your enemies by beating them to death with your primary. Iron Halo, the ability for the heavy class, creates a kind of bubble shield, blocking all ranged damage. I'm sure this will come in handy for any sections where there are like a myriad of warriors with venom cannons or something like that. The core perks are quite varied really, a few offering ways to replenish ammo, damage increases from weapon overheating, and one giving buffs to teammates despite it not being in the team category. Team perks seem fine but a little lackluster. Teammates take less range damage, have more ammo capacity, or revive on full health. Actually, the last one is quite nice. As for the gear...
You're not wrong. Reviving to full health, like you revive them, and obviously, so when you revive an ally, they have to regenerate their health. This guy just revives them and they're full. You know, with what the game is, time is money, and time is very important. So that's very, very strong.
Perks, it's mainly Iron Halo tweaks and buffs.
Yeah.
But there are one or two that do offer buffs to teammates. So far, it seems Heavy is actually a really great class for just adding flat passive buffs to your squad.
Yeah.
Finally, looking at the signature perks, offensive capability, Iron Halo deals damage over time to enemies within 5 meters. Kind of like a giant bug zapper for termagants nipping at your heels. Next, Coolant Reserve seems like a last stand kind of jobby. If both of your squad members are incapacitated, your primary weapon will not overheat. The last signature perk cements what I said just now about Heavy being seemingly a great team play class. Conversion Field gives all squad members within 100 meters of you 50% faster ability recharge whilst Iron Halo is active. And so that is all the classes now. Overall...
Yeah, that's bananas. So my overall thoughts, I think 5 out of the 6 classes have got like a very obvious playstyle for PvP, and also very strong elements. I think my last one that I don't particularly love, obviously Heavy. I would love to be proven wrong, and yeah, we'll see how it goes. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think. What do you think about, you know, the 6 different classes? Did you spot anything that was pretty crazy? Any nutty combos you can spot there before launch? But yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. This video was made by 2 Angry Gamers TV. I appreciate the content, and yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.